This is always really hard.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Avis. I'm the Executive Director of the National Costumers Association, and I want to welcome all of you here today for our webinar. We're going to be talking about Halloween makeup and with a focus on Kryolan's solutions in that area. Before I introduce our two demonstrators here, let me just give you a couple quick basics. If you have questions, we welcome questions, and now is your time to ask them during this event because you've got the experts here. To ask questions, just use the Q&A tab at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And when questions come in, I will either present them to the presenters right then or hold them until the next appropriate moment. So don't hesitate to ask questions. Also, if you are not a current Kryolan customer and would like a complimentary selection of some samples of these products they're talking about, you can send an email to Ann Newman, and her email is a.newman, that's Newman, at kryolan.com. So she will gladly send that to you, and I'll send that email out also when I send everybody the recording later. And last thing, speaking of recordings, is I just want to remind you that this is being recorded. So you can watch it later or have other people in your shop watch it or watch it when Halloween gets closer. So you're ready. Okay, with that, let me just quickly introduce our two panelists. Ann Newman is the National Sales Manager for Kryolan, and Jordan Plath is the Head of Education. Jordan is also a union makeup artist. His work has been seen at the San Francisco Ballet, on Broadway. He did the makeup for the Harry Potter production. And you can see some of his work on his Instagram page. His handle is Jordan, that's Jordan C. Plath, Plath. And again, I will put that in the email with the recording link later today or tomorrow. Welcome, Ann and Jordan. Thank you for being here today. With that, I'm going to put the spotlight on you, and you can take it away. Let me just do that here. The show is all yours.
All right.
Great. Well, we have a lot of things to cover in a short amount of time, so we're going to jump right into it. First off, we should explain, if you haven't heard of our products or heard of our company, we're a family-owned and operated company out of Berlin. We have our own R&D, our own manufacturing. Everything we produce, we make in-house, and it's all controlled by us. Very rarely are we sourcing things from China as far as ingredients. That's usually componentry, but everything has to be cleared by our chemists before we bring it to market. So it's very, very high quality control. Jordan, what are we going to start off with today?
Well, we could start off with any number of things.
Okay.
We've got a lot of.
Did I wake you up?
You did, yes. I'm awake now.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought we could play around with our Artex. Artex is a silicone compound that is great for creating open wounds and skin texture and other things like boils and burns, things like that.
What would be another product that maybe some of our viewers might already carry a competitor's line? What is it?
Third Degree.
Okay.
Yes, is probably the closest thing.
Maybe
There's
we
also
should go to this camera.
Well, all right. I was going to wait for the demo, but to go back and forth is going to be a little tricky. I think just hold it up there, right there. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Go back a little. Yes, that's Artex. Now it's a little blown out with the light there. Yeah, Third Degree, and then what's the other one? Skin Tight by I'm forgetting the name. Smooth On.
So there are several products on the market, and they all have the same ideas. That it's
but they're all little. They're unique.
Very,
I particularly like ours, not just because I put one, but I find that it adheres really, really well, and it's a little more elastic than other brands that I've tried. So it stretches, it just stays on the skin a little bit longer.
Okay, well, let's dig into
But
it.
there's definitely some things to know when working with it.
Okay.
What else do we have? We have, I thought maybe also like a little burn with our gel affixed skin. This is like a prepared kind of gelatin-based product. It comes in 4 colors.
Mhm.
This is the clear or
Mhm.
neutral. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Natural.
Natural.
And then
Neutral.
it comes in red, flesh, and black as well.
And this is a really great product that anybody can use. It heats up in water and
Yeah.
you just manipulate it. And it's a very instant gratification in that if you have no makeup experience whatsoever, you can manipulate this product and make it work for you. And then once it's on the skin, it has a good adhesion, right? It doesn't
does, yeah.
need any glue. So no adhesive, sorry,
Exactly.
glue. And removal's easier, right?
Mhm.
Because it's just a gelatin product.
You
just peel it off.
Yep.
So, if you make it the right temperature, I want to always caution viewers when you are in the retail business and you're working with parents who come in and they want to do stuff for their kids. This is one of those cautionary tales. You always have to talk about temperature sensitivity. You don't want it, so hot that it's going to burn skin. So you always want to explain these products to your purchasing public because they may not have all of that education.
Yeah.
And just like any of the lines you carry, Mayron, Ben Nye, any of our competitors' lines, they all have products within them that are perfectly safe to use on everyone. But that being said, with younger children, you do need to exercise caution and you should educate them and ask your customers what's the age that they're working on with this product, because that's always key.
Yeah. This kind of stuff is definitely adult supervision.
Yeah. Oh, definitely adult supervision.
Adult assistance.
Yes.
And there are other things that, can be used as well for creating wounds for Halloween. Like latex is a good old-fashioned thing that you can use with like tissue paper and whatnot, which makes a, good Halloween quality injury. That also, though, comes with a little bit of a warning because that's something that you definitely want adult supervision for as well, because it'd be very messy.
Right.
If you spill it on something, it's pretty much toast.
Well, you don't want to get into hair.
Yeah, and also some people have a latex allergy. So,
right.
Okay, and then I wanted to showcase one of our newer products, which I really, really love. This is our
Effects Design
Color. We had a product similar to this called Body Illustration Color, which is being phased out because this is the newer and much improved version. This is an alcohol activated color. There are other brands out there, just like our Artex, that are comparable. The wonderful thing about ours is, well, there's many things. They come in these palettes that are customizable. We have 3 preset palettes. There's effects. There's a
complexion,
colorful one, which is vivid, and then complexion. So this is the complexion. It comes with some flesh tones and then skin adjuster tones as well. Some pinks and reds and oranges. Good for tattoo cover. This is the vivid palette, and then we have the effects palette. And I do believe we're coming out with additional colors, especially flesh tones as well. We have a limited range.
And from an artist standpoint, what we really wanted to build was a system that traveled well for the artist. But from a consumer standpoint, just a regular mom and pop, this is such a great componentry. And we are going to be selling these as separate little cups as well. So it's a nice system to bring in for someone who's comfortable working with an alcohol activated line and they just need some basic color. The color's beautiful. It goes on the skin beautifully, which you'll see in a minute. And it's comfortable to wear. Oftentimes I find the alcohol activated lines that I've tried to be stiff and they don't flex with my skin and they feel drying. This, I was surprised that it doesn't. So, because I've actually used this on my lips and found it to be comfortable. So
there is a special, which I don't have up here actually. There's an activator in the line. Where is my activator? There's an activator in the line that you can use. Typically you use 99% isopropyl alcohol. I found that a less high content of isopropyl alcohol actually works with this, like 90%.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool because 99% can be pretty drying on the skin. So you can use 90% alcohol, which is more readily available in like drugstores and even supermarkets. But it does come in the line, there is a activator, which is like
remover.
a sealer
Right,
almost.
right.
So you can use that instead. It does leave behind more of a shiny
Right.
cast, which could be cool for some things, but maybe not for injury simulation. And then, as you mentioned, there's a remover
Okay.
as well.
All right, let's get moving here. We
Okay.
don't have that much
I
time.
know we don't. I know we could just keep
Enough of
talking
the
forever.
commercial.
But I just realized, hang on, just gonna cross here, that I need my activator.
And you also need a palette and a spatula.
I have a palette and a spatula. This is concerning. There we go. Okay, so first things first.
Let's switch to the camera view.
We'll switch to the camera mode. Sorry, bear with me. I'm cameraman today and demonstrator. Aha. All right. So I'm just going to do a quick little cleanse. Not that Anne has filthy skin or anything, but you always want to start any makeup. You always want to start any makeup with a nice little cleanse on the skin.
And again, you want to tell your customers that the cleaner the skin, the better the adhesion, or you're going to remove anything that's going to cause discoloration.
Exactly.
But, you know, a simple washing of the skin.
And I'm going to use this opportunity to actually highlight another product that we carry that's great for effects makeup. It's called Marley Skin. It's a barrier foam protection foam that penetrates the skin and actually creates a chemical barrier that helps prevent reactions from, you know, some of the more harsh ingredients in effects products like alcohol, solvents, adhesives. If your hands are in a lot of brush cleaner on a daily basis, or you're doing a lot of paperwork in my case, this is a great product. It moisturizes the skin and it keeps it protected. And for people who are more sensitive to color transfer, you know, everybody likes to dress up for zombie crawl, but then you got to go to your day job. It's a great idea to offer some sort of a skin barrier foam, whether it's a moisturizing agent or just a simple primer. Will sometimes help if someone says, oh my gosh, I bought this yellow last year and I was yellow for 3 weeks after I took that makeup off. Some people are really sensitive to color transfer and their pores absorb the dyes and pigments more readily than others. It was actually, Marley Skin was developed for medical use. Yes, it was. And according to the website, we don't actually manufacture it. It's by a company called Marley Skin, but it can protect against allergic reaction. So, but I always say err on the side of caution. Right. So if you know if someone has an allergy to, like, say, latex, I would just avoid using latex. But supposedly it is strong enough to prevent allergic reaction from something that you know you have an allergy to, in terms of like contact dermatitis sort of allergy, not like peanut butter. Okay, so Jordan has 2 jars here. And you do use equal parts? I do, yeah. So you just eyeball it. You don't have to, you know, measure it out or anything. So A and B. And you always want to make sure that, you know, I just kind of eyeball it. A has this kind of generic flush tone, which works for a lot of people. If you need to darken the color, you can add a tiny, tiny, tiny dash of cream color. Or just the tiniest dash. If you add too much, that it actually inhibits the curing. But isn't it better to just put it on as is and then use makeup to change the color? You can, but I like, because there's translucency to this, which kind of works in your favor, because skin is translucent to an extent, has a little bit of translucency to it. Now, while Jordan was talking, what he did after he dipped the implement into the first component A, he then wiped it off clean before he went into component B. Yeah, that's very important, because if you get a little bit of A in B or vice versa, get a little chocolate in my peanut butter. Ultimately, it's going to set off the whole jar. You also want to make sure that you put the lid back on very tight. If it's a little jar and air gets in there, it's going to start to dry out. That's a good rule of thumb for any of your self-setting products that you have on your shelf, such as bloods or makeup. Always make sure the lids are on tight. In fact, I've made suggestions to retailers where you take a little piece of saran and push it in so you can keep all the air off the product.
because anything that's self-setting, the longer it sits under your warm lights and gets exposed to air, it starts to set, whether that's in the bottle or because the cap is removed. So you do want to make sure everything's really nice and tight.
So I mix this for a good like 30 seconds, and it will set up, depending on a variety of factors. It can set up anywhere from a couple minutes to 5 minutes. And, you know, if it's hot out, that affects silicone. It will set faster. If you've had the Artex, you know, in your kit for several years, then it will set up faster. It sets faster as it
air conditioning? What about moisture? Because I know
moisture will also affect the cure. It will cure a little faster if it's kind of humid out.
Okay.
If the skin's really hot, it's going to set a little bit faster.
Okay.
If you put Artex on top of already set Artex, that top layer is going to set even faster.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And this is, you do want to work in layers. If you're going to do like a big open wound, then you're not going to try to do it in one go, because you'll never be able to shape it. It's kind of like a thick syrup. It's a little bit thinner than, say, 3rd degree, but the payoff is it does stay much longer on the skin. I found it doesn't start to like peel up.
Okay.
So keep stirring and stirring, and this would be, you know, the moment also when I start to mix it together, where if I wanted to adjust the color, I could. We also have a product called Silicone Colorizer, which is a tint for silicone. You can add a tiny dash of that to this as well. But to, you know, answer your question, Anne, about why don't you just paint it afterwards, you can as well. But I find if you can do the color adjusting in the batch, it looks a little more realistic. I already got a little bit on you.
I know. We're just doing as we go. Okay,
so you can do, as you can see here, it's a good base for, you see, okay? You might, maybe let's scoot you a little bit closer, yeah, with the hair. And let's go this way. Sorry, I'm gonna manipulate you like that. Okay, try that.
No, now they're getting the really best part of me. Thank you.
Okay.
So suck my gut in this whole thing.
So you can see how it can make, you know, good scarring, like a raised keloid type of scar. You can do boils and blisters. It's really easy to do like burn skin or scarred skin from like a healed burn, and just be careful so it doesn't drip. You do want to work kind of horizontally, which I know is not always the case, or flat, but we'll do our best. So while it's still malleable, I'm going to start to kind of blend the edges off. I'm going to do like some slashes here.
Hey, Jordan, let me interrupt with a question real quick from a viewer. And the question is, can an adhesive be put underneath to keep it on for longer wear times? Or do you think it's not necessary?
I don't think it's necessary. If you really want to put an adhesive down, it has to be a silicone-based adhesive, because silicone really only sticks to silicone.
How does this perform? I'm sure a lot of people have this question. With rubbing from clothing, is this something that you don't recommend, like, you know, with a sleeve?
Yeah, I mean, any makeup has the potential of transferring or starting to fray. So ideally, I mean, if just a little bit of rubbing, it's probably not going to affect it. But if it's constantly rubbing back and forth, it does. It's not embedded in your skin. It's resting on the surface. So even the best sticking stuff, makeup wise, is still going to lift with enough rubbing. But I don't think it's necessary. But if you wanted to add extra adhesion, then you could use a silicone-based adhesive.
And you put that down before you put this down.
Yeah, I would kind of map out where you're going to put it instead of putting adhesive everywhere. You know, if I'm going to do slashes here, I can just put a little bit of silicone adhesive right on there. But I don't think it's really necessary. So this batch is taking a little bit longer than typical. There are some other things to know with silicone. It's very sensitive to contaminants. And the number one thing that will contaminate the silicone and prevent it from setting properly is sulfur. So anything with sulfur in it, like latex.
Oh,
Liquid
okay.
latex has sulfur in it. So you wouldn't want to use latex underneath this for whatever reason, because it will prevent it from setting up. But if you wanted to, you could, once it's a set, then you can put some latex over it if you wanted to make like peeling skin on top of it. Because latex, once it's dry, it makes some, you know, pretty cool looking skin that you can peel and get to look kind of like zombie skin or skin that's been burning away. So as it's beginning to set, and I know it's a little hard to see on there, you're kind of losing some of the dimension, but I'm gonna go in and start to make my open slashes here.
I got attacked by a badger,
There you go, a badger.
a very big cat.
I'm just going in, kind of opening up my wounds. So you don't want to do this part too early, because while it's still really wet, then you're going to lose a lot of, it's going to start to just kind of, you know.
Is the dimension
reform.
reading, Ed? Can you see that?
Well, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to powder it. And once I powder, I think it's going to
Okay.
be more visible.
Jordan,
So
can you, excuse me, can you clarify that you were waiting for that gel to become set, meaning a little bit more firm?
Not completely set. I'm
Okay.
waiting. So when it's in its very wet, fresh state, that's when you want to get it on the skin, and you kind of, you know, you kind of have to manipulate it so that it just doesn't start dripping everywhere like candle wax. And then as it begins to get a little bit more firm, that's when you can go in and start to create the opening of your wound. Because if you go too early, then it's just going to start to melt back together.
Okay.
Then I've got some extra on my palette here that I'm just going to use just to kind of build up a little bit more
ridge line.
Yeah, more of a ridge line. So this is just residual stuff. It sets faster on the skin than it does on this metal palette, because the metal palette is cool and skin is red hot. But yes, again, heat is going to affect the cure time and speed it up. So you could also, if you want to speed the curing time, then you can hit it with a hair dryer.
Warm hair dryer.
Yeah,
right?
warm hair dryer. It's not the air. You're not drying it. You're using the heat to.
Ooh, that's looking good.
You're using the heat to cure. Let's see.
Yeah, kitty.
And then once it's completely set, and you'll know because it will still feel a little tacky, but it shouldn't pull away. If it lifts off, if you touch it, that means it's not set yet.
It's on my skin. It's starting to feel snug. I wouldn't say it's tight, but you can definitely feel a difference.
Yeah.
From when he started.
All right, so let's see.
Oh, that's looking really gross.
And there's other things you could, if you want, you can add like some texture to it, like a little stipple sponge. I usually don't do that because I feel the more I fuss with it, the more it starts to kind of get a little messy. But using these last moments here to just really smooth the edges down and define the opening of the injuries. And there is a point where you just kind of have to call it quits, because it gets too firm, and then if you fuss with it too much, it just starts to kind of break up and get really messy. But I'm just going at it quickly, and then you can kind of lift your edges a little bit. So, but if I wanted to, if I thought, oh, I need a little bit more, then I can mix another batch and just put it right on top. That sticks to itself. Okay, so this does need another few seconds here to really set up. You can see it's very, very shiny. So I'm going to powder it. So powdering is going to do two things. It's going to take away the shine and make it kind of melt more into the skin. And it's also going to take away the tack as well, because it's still, even when it's set, it's still a little tacky.
Gummy, it's kind of gummy.
Yeah.
Yeah. While he goes and preps the powder, it's a good time to talk about powders in general on the market. I'm sure everybody's aware of the whole talc issue with lawsuits. And while makeup companies have never really been in the business of using that low grade quality of talc, we've always used a food grade or cosmetic grade or higher in our products. Everyone is steering away from talc because the industry itself, the manufacturers that mine these minerals, they've all dropped it from their lines. So we are creating right now, in fact, we just launched, I have it here today, our talc-free eyeshadow. And we have talc-free powders. And we're ready to pour those powders and get them into containers as soon as we get our containers. But they're on a slow boat from China. So, you may see that from your vendors that you might be working with currently, your makeup vendors or special effects vendors, that they may have powders not available at certain times. We still think talc is a perfectly safe product to use, but unfortunately, the consumer industry and with all the online information that comes through, consumers are hesitant to work with those products. So we're bringing out a talc-free powder line, and it's here. It just needs to be packaged. So I don't know what you're working with today.
It arrived?
Well, we've got it available in Dermacolor.
Oh, okay. Great.
And we're still selling our translucent powders.
Yeah.
What we have is what we have.
Okay. And this is our translucent powder. This is the color TL11 you can use.
And this is primarily a rice starch, isn't it? It's rice.
Yes, it's talc and rice starch and other ingredients, but that's kind of the base of a lot of setting powders. I just chose this color just because it was readily available, but I could use something lighter. I don't want to go too dark because then it's gonna add too much color. And I'm just gonna gently powder on top. Really get it in there. Okay, we'll just get that little bit that I dripped on your hand. And it does like to kind of drink up the powder, so I really powder it well. I guess it doesn't drink up, it absorbs. Okay. And then you can take powder brush or, just your puff, whichever.
Fluffy brush.
Yeah. And buff the excess.
What kind of questions would a retailer ask a customer that, like what are the mandatory brushes someone should have to do Halloween makeup?
Oh, well, I mean, it depends on what you're doing, you know?
But does it matter acrylic versus natural fiber? Does it make a difference?
Natural fiber can be used for anything, but typically it works best with powders. But for what I'm using, I could use acrylic. I think I would prefer natural fibers or like a vegan bristle, which is a synthetic, but it's made to mimic. Okay. Natural fiber
versus an acrylic, like a paintbrush.
Exactly. Okay. Yes. So I'm going to pull out. I've got my brushes here. Take that out too. I'm just grabbing a few. Be a fine tip brush. And what else? Just need like a little. I'm going to take a little stipple brush, I think. So this is a part of our Blue Master line. It's like a small stippling brush, has really fine little tips here. So I know it's hard to see. The camera really kind of mutes it. But I think once I start coloring it, it'll be a little more visible. So I get an ad. This is just isopropyl alcohol. And these activate very easily. I'm just using the top as kind of my palette. Let's see. Did I just get something on there?
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
that was you. Overspray. So if you haven't ever worked with alcohol activated lines before, previous lines were notorious for you always had to take your activator or alcohol, pharmacy grade or higher, and gouge down to the bottom of that palette to get the liquid into it to make it react with the pigments. This is a new formulation to where you just need to spray the very lightest amount and you get really great color payoff, as you can see.
Okay, so I'm starting to add some irritation.
Now, are we building a cut? We're building a cut, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're using a specific line of colors. And are you starting lightest first, or what are you?
I'm just adding some irritation.
Okay.
Around, trying to do the quick and dirty job here. And you know, for Halloween, you can push the
boundaries,
the levels of, you know, this would not be like film grade here. You think about for Halloween, it's oftentimes dark, you know, lighting, it's nighttime, and you're inside at a party, so you need to kind of make it a little more theatrical.
I guarantee you when I go to the parking garage, the guy's gonna go, "What?
Oh,
What did we do?
you're gonna
we
wear
did,
this out?
we did that last time. What did we do last time? Oh, we did cuts and bruises with blood. I think we did a blood demo. And he was just like, "Oh my God, look at your hand." I'm like, buddy, it's fake.
People are, I know, like you'd be walking around with. Okay, so that's a lot. That's like Halloween style. I would pull back if I'm doing, you know, something for film, but for our purposes here, that's kind of what I want. And then I'm going to go in. This is again the effects palette. I'm going to go in. Let's see what colors we have here. There's
square
blues wash. What?
Pull the square up.
The square?
It has the name on the back of it. Never mind.
Blue wash. Oh, I see what you're saying. The square. The inside, the little, okay. Coral blood. Well, blood seems like a good one.
So some of these products were designed to be sheer. They're called washes. Some are opaques. They have a real high opacity.
Yeah, it depends on the pigment, because no two pigments are really alike in terms of opacity, because they derive from various sources. So some pigments are naturally more sheer than others.
So if you can't see what he's doing, he's got a detail brush and he's going into the bare skin side and painting color.
Yeah, this is the opening of my wound. So now hopefully it's starting to be a little more visible, because it was really flat looking on camera. Okay, and this is the color aptly named blood.
These also come in a liquid form.
Yes, they do.
You have
which I do.
You didn't bring it up here.
Oh.
It comes in, here, hold on. For the sake of argument, these are the sizes that it comes in. This is our drying blood, which we'll demonstrate later, but it's a large size, which is a 200 ml, and a small size, which I think is a 50 ml. And they come in all the colors. So for people who don't want to even fuss with activating with alcohol, it's a great way to just, here's your primary colors, mix away, or you can, you know, buy specific colors. So they've really created a full line to work with on any level.
I would say that the liquids are better because they're so opaque.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little hard to do like kind of the translucent stuff that you can with the palettes, because you can control the opacity with how much activator or alcohol you use. But they're good for, like, if you want like
body
smudge proof, budge proof, sweat proof.
You want to be that blue makeup? You want to be that blue genie from Aladdin?
So people are like, I need something that's not going to come off no matter, you know, with sweat or anything. Then that's the stuff you want to use.
That looks really bad.
Oh. All right, and then let's see what other colors. We've got like a darker blood color here that I can go in and let's see.
Now,
get into the
we're using the alcohol activated line from our product line, but you could also do this with a grease paint. Our grease paint is called Super Color. And we have these fabulous burn and injury wheels. We have black eye wheels. We have monster. We have, you know, all sorts of combinations already pre-done, like everybody else. And that can be used for something like this and the Artex. The Artex will accept any type of makeup, even aqua color, which is a water activated makeup. And
yeah, it's kind of because again, as I mentioned, nothing really sticks to silicone but our Artex really you can paint it with aqua color, but it does have to be powdered first. It's the powder that kind of gives it a surface in which things can stick to.
Yeah.
So I'm just adding a deeper red here into the corners just to kind of really add some depth.
And of course, the beauty of working with the alcohol activated paints is that they self-set. So you don't need to put anything on top of it to make it transfer proof or waterproof. Whereas when you work with aqua color or super color, you would want to use a fixing spray. We obviously have one, it's called Kryolan fixing spray, and perhaps you've seen it on TikTok. It's the big blue can, as I like to call it. And that's a fabulous product to have at your front counter to sell to anybody, especially if you're in costume rental. This little lovely can will keep costume damage from collars and sleeve lines to a minimum. Mm-hmm. So that's a great product to think about if you're not currently carrying any type of a fixing spray to make the makeup water resistant and sweat resistant. It's a great idea to bring in something like that, especially for Halloween.
Yeah. That it's an easy add-on.
Mm-hmm. Especially even if they're using their own clothing, they may want something that they can protect their clothing from. A lot of costume bloods will stain certain types of clothing. We have a whole diagram of what our bloods will and will not do and what we recommend in terms of use because of washability. So that's always a good idea to be aware of if you're carrying bloodlines, to know which ones will stain clothing and which ones won't.
Yeah. There's always a risk, even with the washable ones,
Yep.
you know, with certain textiles that are very delicate, I would steer clear, but I usually don't have a problem with washing fake blood out of stuff. I just add a little bit of blue just to make it a little more palatable, you know. You got to ham it up a little bit. Yeah, and then I can add blood if I want. And I'm going to use our drying blood. So this is a blood that has some alcohol in it, and that's evaporates. And when it evaporates, it dries and sets. It is water resistant and smudge resistant.
And it comes in light and dark.
Comes in light and dark. I'm using light.
And one of our little fun facts about Kryolan, we actually do in lab, they'll do viscosity tests with the blood. With the blood, just so for use in film and television, they can provide information to the technical staff that may be working on a medical show as to which types of blood will be best suited for, you know, a live exploding organ versus surgery. And they've been on the table for 6 hours. And so all of that technical information is kept so that we can provide that to various production crews.
Yeah, and this can be thinned out. It's very thick because it's designed to stick. So if I wanted to thin it out, then I can use some alcohol.
Can you put that on my natural skin so they can see how it looks just on its own?
Yeah.
And once it dries, it still looks wet.
Yeah, it has a sheen to it.
Which is lovely.
Which is,
lovely.
Great.
Lovely.
Lovely.
It's a lovely attribute.
So I'm just gonna, kind of mess it around a little bit. You know, because got a slash like that, it would probably be bleeding all over the place. And if I did want to make it drippy, as I just mentioned, then I can simply mix a little bit of mix a little bit of alcohol. We do have other bloods. We have HD blood. This is a blood that I would recommend more for professional use. It's pretty potent in terms of pigment. It doesn't dry, which can be good for certain things. If you want a blood that's always going to be drippy and not set, it looks especially realistic on camera. It was made for high definition cameras. because cameras have a tendency to distort color. So this was made for cameras to read accurately. Let's see. And then we have Supreme Blood.
We have blood gels so that they're more gelatinous. They're a little bit more coagulated. We also make wound filler. So it's really like you want to pack a wound to make it look like it's just curdled blood inside a wound.
Yeah.
No other way to describe it. And scab and scratch. So if you just, and that's a fun product with a porous sponge.
The fresh scratch, yeah.
And you just kind of swipe it across the skin. You can give that road rage look. Road rash.
Yes. Road rash caused by road rage.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, I just added some alcohol to it so that it drips a little bit more. Another cool little trick that you can teach your customers is to take your blood and you take a chip brush, which is just a cheap
brush,
one-time use house painting brush. You can use like our eyelash brush as well, which
so it's cut on the diagonal, and it's the purpose of it. It has a very coarse brush surface.
Yeah, you don't have to cut it on diagonal necessarily. I just did this for a little bit more flicking, but you just want to cut it so that the bristles are short, and you want to make sure this might not be soupy enough. Let's see, and make sure that your blood is very, very wet. Come on. And then, this might be a little not wet enough.
I think you don't have enough blood on there.
Yeah, let me get some more blood on there.
Nope, we need more blood. Stop.
You know what, just for the sake, because this is already pretty liquidy, I'm just going to use our HT blood. That's a little too thick. Let's see. That's too thick. So thin it out. It's best to do this in a cup. And you can flick it. There's something here. If you hear me shuffling, trying to get the right consistency.
So kind of not quite, it's, I would say not quite maple syrupy. It's a little bit thinner than that, right?
Yeah, no, it's too thick.
Yeah, I don't think it's working for you. Could you also do the same effect with a stipple sponge?
Yeah, but no, this one's really cool to get this effect. I'm going to hang on. I've got another plan here.
Mad scientist.
I'm using a cup with our Supreme Blood. I'm going to mix it with water because the Supreme Blood is water soluble.
Ed, how are we doing on time?
You know, we have officially about 20 minutes, but I think as long as attendees want to watch and you have the time, man, we can go later. So
okay,
don't feel like you need to stop. Let me ask a question, Jordan, of you that is not presented by an attendee. It's just my own. So you are a professional makeup artist, but do you think this type of wound you're showing here is something a regular, a shop owner could do for a customer?
Oh yeah,
totally,
definitely.
I could do this.
Yeah, okay. It's just maybe a little bit of practice, but we sell a lot of the Artex for for everyday customers around Halloween that want something that's a little more reliable than like wax or latex. Yeah. So that was the effect I was going for, is creating kind of blood spatter, which always adds a nice little element to your gore. And yeah, that's going to dry down and it's going to be smudge resistant and water resistant as well. So it should last the entire night.
So let's do the gel effects, because that's a very affordable, Artex, all of these products. And again, most customers for Halloween, they want what they want and they don't mind spending the money.
Oh, I mean, people are spending more and more every year because they want to look good.
The average person spends $104 on Halloween supplies. And that was slightly down from 2023. That's 2024. But I've seen these interviews from people who are like, well, I'm going to really try and keep my budget under control. I'm only going to spend about $400 this year, or $1,000. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So people really do go all out. But what is, like, this has a retail of what? Do you remember?
I think it's 30 something.
Okay.
Yeah.
As opposed to our gel,
Mm-hmm.
our little gel, I don't know what happened to it. It's right here. This has a retail of what?
I don't know.
Like a fraction of that.
Yeah, a fraction.
I mean, I can.
So it's a more affordable option.
Right.
There's limits to what you can do with it. It's a little harder to do like slashes or open wounds. I find this best for creating lumpy, bumpy skin texture, for burns, for blisters, things like that.
Okay, so let's pop that in.
And it is, it's still kind of a goopy, messy product, but it's not, doesn't require as much prep work.
One of the products that's always really popular is collodion. And collodion is a highly flammable product. It goes directly onto the skin, and consumers like it because it's very easy and simple to use. But everybody has a collodion line. All of our competitors have a collodion line as well. We're one of the few that actually offer a collodion remover. I'm just going to quickly put this on my skin and let it go. So as I sit here and yak at you about it, and this is definitely not something I would recommend using on a child. As you can see, it goes on very wet. Am I in the up? There I am. It goes on very wet. And then as it dries, what it does is it pulls the skin taut and it resembles a scar. So it's super simple to work with.
Super simple. It's very realistic.
Very realistic. And you keep putting layers on as that dries. And then I'll show you again as I continue to work with it, how it pulls in my skin.
Yeah.
As I said, not for everybody. Highly flammable. It's got a strong odor. If you've got customers that come in and say, oh my gosh, if they walk in your store and say, wow, what's that smell? This is not the person you want to sell that to. And you should be very cautious about what you are selling to them.
What is that smell?
What is that smell?
I personally like the smell, but
well, I'm just talking about in general. There's,
it's kind of like the gasoline thing that some people find.
Okay, you can see how that's pulling away from my lovely old aging skin, and we'll keep putting a layer on.
And it works better in some parts of the body, face than others. I find it's most effective on like the cheek,
fatty areas.
Yeah. And some areas you just really can't get it to work so great. Oddly, some people it works really well and other people not. And I've been trying to figure out what makes some people different than others in terms of how effective it is. And I don't know, it's a little bit of a mystery, but it works very well on the cheek area. This is working, actually, it's starting to shrink right up on you.
I have so much excess skin.
Yeah. So it's a little hard to see at this point. It does have a shiny kind of cast. You can reduce the shine with a little bit of powder, or you can reduce the shine even with like our matte silicone perfect matte primer.
Mm-hmm. This is a product that we can't keep on our shelves. It's just I don't know what people are doing with it, but it just sells and sells. Another one like that is our tear sticks.
Yeah.
If people want that crying look. Oh, and we didn't even bring up the most famous blood of all, the eye blood.
I know.
So eye blood is a proprietary thing that I've only seen it from our company. And it works like a Visine, where you put drops of these bloods into your eye and you start crying bloody tears. Comes in black, red, yellow, blue, green. And I've worked here 20 years, and someone said, well, you can make violet. I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So
I do a custom blend to make a brown for like zombie. Yeah. So it's another one of those products that you want to use with caution. It's not for everybody. Don't use it with contact lenses.
Right.
So if someone wants to use, colored contacts and have bleeding eyes as well, you can't. Oddly, some customers come in and they ask for it and they think it's going to tint their eye whites for Halloween.
Yes.
Which sounds horrifying to me. And you know, it's not. It's for a bleeding effect. It's a color. It's an eye safe color drop.
Yeah.
And
you're supposed to blink it out.
Yeah.
If you go on Instagram and do a search of Kryolan eye blood, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of demos on it. So now you can see that that's really pulling away my skin.
it's still dry.
It's
As
still
it dries,
dry.
it has to be very, very dry, and that's when it's at its best, when it really, really starts to shrink.
Yeah.
So while that's shrinking some more, I'm gonna make some tea.
Oh yeah, let's make tea.
No, I'm using hot water near boiling in a cup, and then I'm gonna take my gel fix skin and drop it in. And you want to let this, yeah, that's how you do it.
Oh,
yeah, you want to heat it up. Don't pop it in the microwave. You want to just put this into hot water, and you do got to give it, I would just put this down and walk away for several minutes. So it's going to take a little bit of time to melt. But as we were talking about before, you always want to make sure that you test for heat. I always use the back of my hand to test, because that's, you know, if it's a little hot for some reason, that seems to be the least volatile area. You don't want to just start putting it all over the face and then discover in a bad way
that you've created really good third-degree burns.
Yes, created too effective of a real looking burn.
Yeah.
So test a little bit on the back of your hand. So I'm going to let this melt. It is going to take a couple minutes, so we can do something else.
You can color my collodion if you want to.
Yeah.
Make it look
so
really
to
good.
color the Gelafix skin, you can use aqua color. You can use the FX design color, the alcohol activated colors. I'm going to use our color circles, very popular for Halloween, because they're like mini themed palettes and injury themes or character / monster themes. There's the burn and injury wheel. We have burn skin, just like Burn and Injury 2, the sequel. Bruise circle, black eye circle, zombie circle, monster circle,
death age.
circle, old age,
and
creature
multi.
feature, and multi. And then we have some shimmery ones as well.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of product in here. I mean, this, if you're gonna use this for one Halloween, it's enough to do a horde of
the neighborhood,
100 people. Yes.
The neighborhood.
And
well, then they're also great colors on their own. So you can make use of them for other artistry uses.
Yeah. Quite popular for makeup artists having their kits. Almost everybody has like a bruise circle. So still letting this melt. Oh, it's getting there. Just about melted. And what else can we talk about before then?
Well, I was going to talk about, while you were on the subject of kits, we do have several kits. Our most popular kit is the Ice Effects kit. And believe it or not, we sell more of those in cold prone areas because everybody wants to look like they're frozen outside and they've been left out of the party.
Yeah.
I don't have it with me, but the Ice Effect kit, maybe Jordan's digging around in his magic tricks to find it.
Yes.
Really fun product line where we've got a strong product called Gaff Quat. For those of you who sell bald caps, Gaff Quat is what you use to lay the hair follicle down so you can get a really smooth bald capping done. It's just
I took the Gaff Quat out of this because I use it for something else.
See, it's multi-purpose.
Gaff Quat is a very, very, very concentrated hair gel.
Yeah.
And it's used for slicking back hair, but it's also an adhesive. In this case, we include it in the kit because you can use it as an adhesive for the snow crystals. So it comes with Gaff Quat, which you can put in the hair, you can put on the skin, and then it comes with big ice crystals, fine ice crystals, and then to top it off, some snow. And there are several ways you can work with it. What I discovered works best for me is I take the Gaff Quat and I take up like a paper cup, plastic cup, and then I sprinkle the big ice crystals in and mix it and make like a icy almost.
Oh, okay.
You know, like a slushy.
And then apply it to
and then I'll use a spatula and apply it to the skin and hair, and that's my base layer. Then I take some more Gaff Quat and I add the finer crystals and do the same. And then I top it off with a sprinkled layer of snow.
And retailers, all of these components are available to you separately. We don't offer the snow components and the ice components online separately. The kit is offered online. Also, we have some
Honorable mentions.
kind of simpler ways to get that frozen look. This is called icicle gel. It's a two-part. You can see how it's two parts. You mix that up really well, and then you put it on the skin or wherever you're applying it to, and you take a hair dryer and it dries it into this wonderful drippy icicle look.
Yeah.
And this is great. There's a couple of pro arts that use this for
the Ice Effect kits
Yeah.
for added because you get the little dangly icicle.
Yeah.
And then this is really cool. I love this product. This is here. Let's do it in your hair. Is that okay?
That's fine.
You can wipe it out. This is called wax ice gel, and yeah, we're gonna have to adjust the camera. Let me just see if I can manually. You might have to crouch.
Okay, I'm crouching.
Attendees, remember that you can ask questions. This is your chance because
Yes.
you've got two experts
Can you see
here.
my hair?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't hesitate.
Okay, so this works. It's some wax in like an alcohol base. Your knees okay?
It's titanium dioxide and hairspray. And as it dries, it starts to form these little crystalline light looking.
So the alcohol in it evaporates and wax is left behind. And the more you spray, the better the effect. Kind of let it dry in between. And then if you really spray it on, that's when you get some good coverage. Whoops, let's back up a little bit. It's funny. If you put it over the eyebrows, or if someone has like beard or even peach fuzz on the face, it looks really, really cool. Because it collects in the peach fuzz and it looks just like clustered ice.
Is that reading on camera?
A little bit, yeah. It kind of looks a little bit like white hairspray on camera, but yeah. So the more you spray, it is best to let it dry in between, and it starts to form little crystals. And to get it out, you just wash
your hair.
Yep, just wash. Let that dry a little bit and see what else it does. Okay, so now my gelatin, my Gelafix skin is melted thoroughly in the pack, and I'm going to take my metal palette. You can take a cup, and I'm going to cut just the corner.
Like a pastry bag.
Yeah. And pour some out. So it's very, very liquid at the state. And this is before I go in, I'm just going to test for heat. I think that's fine. It actually melts at a relatively low temperature, but to speed things up, you want to use near boiling water. And whoops.
Ah!
Oh my God, don't do that to me. How dare you? So to do like burn skin, it's really easy. You just kind of, spread it around, get texture, and then as it cools, it sets.
That's what I love about Halloween makeup. There's no wrong. When you're doing burn and injuries, you can really kind of play with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is so easy. You see, you don't really need a skillful hand at all. You can just kind of swivel it around. And
now you could also take this if you want to do something kind of avant-garde, alien-like. You could put this into a squeeze bottle and do more intricate line work with it.
Oh, definitely.
In fact, some of our product in this line comes pre-colored, as you mentioned, in red and black. And an artist once did this. Okay, sorry. This really cool lace design work on the model's neck, all in the black.
Oh yeah, you can. I think he actually prepped it on like parchment paper and peeled it off and glued it on.
No, that's right. You can do that, can't you?
Okay, so that's like, Freddy Krueger skin. I can also do some blisters. You can see how it might be a little difficult to do like cuts. Whoops. Do a little blister here. Gotta keep the skin flat to do a puffy blister. Got one blister. Let's try to do one more. and then you can color it. The other way to do this is I mentioned that there's 4 colors. There's natural. This is natural.
This is neutral.
Neutral.
Yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. There's red, there's black, and there's flesh. So if you combine the 3, not mix them up, but I start with red and I do this, and then I do flesh and not cover everything, but kind of go around it. And then I finish it off with the, what do you call this? Neutral, sorry. On top, it creates a very cool looking 3rd, 2nd degree burn. And the black you can use as well for maybe some char, but I usually take some black eyeshadow and hit it, and that creates my char. Okay, so let's see. That's just about set. That's
another thing I always mention to retailers, especially if you find yourselves in a position where you've got a really value conscious customer. Point out to them that a lot of the makeup they have at home for beauty will also cross-pollinate into special effects.
Cross-pollinate, yeah.
So that way they can save their money. You know, you could perhaps upsell them a better line of brushes, or a key issue like an ice kit or a bruise wheel, because point out to them, you have liquid eyeshadow or powdered eyeshadow at home. You can use that. And I know a lot of our retailers will offer classes in Halloween. Always encourage your customers to bring in what they have. It's a great opportunity for you to have that conversation about, gosh, this looks really expired to me. You might want to think about getting something new, or you've got all this stuff. We can make this work for the basic of your zombie, and now you can get that added, those ugly teeth you wanted, or by by something else. You can upsell them to that. So that's always important to point out different ways to use their products they already have at home.
I have to say the scar looks really cool. Now this is where the collodion was, and it's shrunken. And see how it also kind of
caterpillars.
It scrunches the skin and kind of concentrates the natural pigment in the skin, so it naturally has this darker. I just think it looks so cool.
It works really well on old people. You want to get those old people in the chair and their skin's so old and crotchety and loose. That really works well.
So I'm just going around quickly and just adding a layer of, irritation. This is all from the burn and injury circle. So I'm using this color here. I'm just using, this is just an eyeshadow blending brush. You could also use a sponge if you want. If you do use a sponge, you can tell your customers to take like a makeup wedge sponge and tear it in half and pluck out little pieces.
It has more
and
texture.
It has that rough surface, creates a nice texture for applying the color to make it more, broken
Skin
up.
modeled.
And yeah, exactly. All right, going around. So we've got a nice pink layer, and now I'm going to go in. Let's see, what will I do? Just make sure you get it all around, and I'm going to go in with a smaller brush. Were you going to say something?
Well, I was going to say another tip for retailers is make sure you always suggest people that they go online and search real injuries.
Yes.
It gives them a point of reference, and it gives them something to judge color, because a fresh injury looks different than a 5-day-old injury.
Yeah. I would say maybe use caution with the children.
Well, yeah. But no, I'm talking
you can find some,
what I'm talking
about. I know. You can find some pretty horrific graphic stuff online, which is great when you're trying to, mimic an injury, but definitely not for everybody. Comes with a trigger warning for sure. So now I'm just taking red from that burn and injury circle and kind of going into the little openings here. You can see how this is the basis of like Freddy Krueger.
I over-fried the turkey.
Yeah, it's kind of looking like an acid or steam burn right now. All right. We got some good. Let's see if there's a good one here. So I'm taking all the low parts and adding the red. And I'm going to take, this is kind of a, what do you call that? burgundy, but
Lake?
maroon. Lake,
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, lake is the dark one, isn't it?
Lake is the dark one, yeah. So this is this actually named? Let's see. 081. This is 081.
It's a dark red.
Yeah.
That's your dark red.
I'm going in. Let me see. Okay. I might actually use the lake for this. We'll see. And hitting the inside corners with the deeper color, and that adds some depth. Remember, you know, you got to punch up the color for Halloween. You can see how this could also be the basis of, you know, like a zombie makeup too. You could change the color palette and do more like kind of rotting flesh colors.
That's our other most popular kit, is our zombie kit.
Oh yeah, for the
gosh.
makeup kits.
Yeah, that kit is, I think that was one of our first kits we put together, and it still to this day is just flies off the shelf all throughout the year. It's funny. In fact, several of our cosmetology schools like the zombie kit.
Oh yeah, and there's other things you can do with it too.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually a good kind of just basic injury kit. Okay, so
Oh, those blisters.
Yeah, so I just put
good.
that same kind of the 081 around the blisters to not going over it, but around the edges to make them look inflamed and also make them look raised. You know, and then if you have a little too much color, you can just kind of lift some out if you want. But I would say for, you know, for Halloween, you need that level of intensity, maybe even more. Just go in with like a deeper color. This is the lake. Really get inside the crevices. You can see, you know, it's pretty easy. There really is not much technical skill involved to create this. You just melt it, you kind of mess it all around, and then you go in and just kind of find the shapes.
I want to show you the other thing that he did. Can you hear me roughing that up?
Yeah. It looks fresh, but it's
no mess,
set.
Mom.
No mess. Let's see. Yeah, so that's like a good like chemical burn if you want to make it more like a charred burn. Then you can take, let's see, let me take something kind of feathery.
And would you powder this to take the sheen off of it, or
you can? But a burn like this is kind of cool shiny because this would technically be a second degree burn, not a third degree, because third degree goes down and gets into the muscle. It burns away the entire layer of skin, but a second degree burn is very oozy, so you're going to get a lot of shininess. A third degree burn is very dry and leathery, and first degree burns, as we know, are you know, red and inflamed and can be dry as well. So I'm taking black, and let's see, I'm just going to carefully kind of, maybe a little bit more than that, with a fluffy brush, hitting the high points. For char. I would prefer to use eyeshadow for this because the char you do want matte.
Oh yeah, and with powder you get that really nice. It's like charcoal.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It looks dry.
And kind of, let's see, hit the high points. Yeah, because this is a little too shiny for char, but to give you the idea, the effect. Yeah. Kind of get it around the edges for some nice crispiness. Yeah, we also have a body makeup powder that I sometimes use for this in 071, which is our color code for black, which is easy just to kind of buff on top, and you just kind of hitting the high points. Yeah, that easy. Ouch. Kind of looks hot and inflamed.
Put my hand in the toaster and I got attacked by a
There
badger.
you go.
We do have a few products as well that are very simple. This is called Cinewax. This is pretty much beeswax, and it does stick to dry skin without adhesives. I'm making it ideal for working with young kids. The only issue to that is if you're not going to use an adhesive with it and they go about their emotionally hyperactive candy stated mind, it's going to eventually come off. So, but it does exist, and it's so easy to work with, and you can build little scars and put that directly on the skin. So this is a really nice
if you want
product.
it to stick better, good old-fashioned spirit gum, paint a layer down, let it get tacky. You want to take out little chunks of this and kind of warm them up with your fingers so they get nice and soft, and then press it into the adhesive, and then you can blend it and take even a little spatula, or if you don't have a spatula, like a butter knife, a dull butter knife at home, in a pinch.
How's my hair looking?
It's looking pretty, but you got to bend down.
Well, I know, but is it?
Yeah.
I don't know where
you missed your mark.
Oh, there I am.
Yeah. So you can continue to add more to get some good snowy
and
texture.
This is we didn't talk about our hairspray. We have a whole complete line of
oh
yeah, you should do it.
The arm hair. I find it works best with like kind of fine hair. We'll let this dry.
We have a nice line of hairspray coloring that come in regular hair tones as well as old age, glitter effects. Some UV colors, metallics, and all of them share the same characteristic in that they can be sprayed into the hair directly and then manipulated, brushed. They really do have a high opacity, and they coat the hair follicle really nicely. And they stay in until you wash them out with shampoo. Also have a line of hair mascaras that you can use for aging effects.
Or for coloring streaks through the hair.
Yeah, exactly. So those are available. And what else do we have for hair? We've got the spray and
you can use this aqua color too.
Yeah, we've actually had really good success with that. For clients who don't want to do aerosol, you can mix aqua color and brush that throughout the hair, and once it dries, it won't budge. So it's really a helpful product. Oh, you can see. Can you see that?
See it's starting to form. It's a little hard to see with the white background, but
here, do I have anything dark? I can hear it. Let me stand up against.
So you can see as I start to spray and it starts to dry, it's still very wet. So the effect is really created as the base of it begins to evaporate, and then you get really cool. Let's see your shirt again, or backdrop. Yeah, so you get ice crystals starting to form on the surface.
I got left
And a friend of mine actually used the icicle gel on Jamie Lee Curtis for the show Scream Queens.
Scream Queens, yeah.
Yeah. Where I don't know what the situation was, but she was frozen with a bunch of icicles all over.
Ann and Jordan, we have 3 questions. Let me put these to you, okay?
Sure. I'm going to zoom in.
One of them is, do you still sell the black light activated makeup?
UV makeup is still available in certain lines, and the story behind UV is that about 5 years ago, the EU banned all UV pigments, and we started to create what we thought was going to be a successful cosmetic grade, found out that it was too unstable and dropped it. But in the United States, we still sell UV pigments in makeup in our aqua color line and a pressed powder line. They are considered a special effects. They are not called makeup. And they are available still, but limited. And we are finding ourselves, again, when a group of countries ban a product, you'll find that the people that make the pigments to make those products, they start to disappear because there's no business. So UV is a difficult product to produce. It's problematic, and it's sensitive to formulation. And the pigment itself is quite expensive. So I'm not sure how much longer we're going to actually have the UV pigments available in the United States, but I know you can't get them in Europe. So That's the story on UV. I have it in aqua color. I have it in hair gel. I have it in hair mascara. I have some sprays in hairspray in UV as well. And
The cosmetic
in the cream wheel, we have a UV cream wheel.
The cosmetic, the way Wolfram, our president, explained it to me, is the cosmetic UV pigments are encapsulated,
Wax encapsulated.
and that's why they're considered safe for the skin. But it's still the EU because they're always kind of at the forefront of safety, and they just, they ban a lot of things, even if there's very, very minimal risk involved. So it was banned in Europe, and probably will be ultimately, because FDA's cracking down, and there's a lot of changes happening with cosmetics, and they're already
Well, there's if you look it up online, there's a thing called MOCRA, Modern Cosmetic Regulatory Agency. Now, under our current administration and the DOJ, those jobs have been cut drastically. The FDA has not made any changes to the US cosmetic industry since 1939. So this was their hope to regulate. Now, because we're a European-based company, we've already put into practice a lot of these laws and what do you call procedures, simply by being able to track product from production to consumer end, so that if there is an issue with it, we know where it was manufactured, we know who manufactured it, what day it was bottled, yada, yada, all that stuff. But a lot of companies in the US that are doing what we call OEM, private label, they have no idea how their product is packaged or processed or who makes it. And they're buying these library lines and putting their label on it. So some of this information is coming to light. Everybody has to register their products with the FDA. But to give you an idea of how hard this was, we started to go onto the site as soon as they mentioned it, the site crashed. And that was under the Biden administration. I don't know what's going on with the Trump administration and who's going to monitor it and how it's going to be regulated, but it remains to be seen. So there are always new consumer watch groups that are bringing to light new ingredients or ingredients that maybe haven't been researched as thoroughly as they should have been. I know from our experience, our frustration as reps and artists, that it takes our company a long time to bring something to market that feels like it's in our laboratory forever, making sure it's safe to be put on consumers' skin. So we're always laughing about like, yeah, when I'm dead, we'll have that product.
But we, in a way, it's good.
In a way, it's very good.
Yeah, we really try to emphasize safety and quality and source of ingredients. I mean, that's certainly the case with our talc, but we're still discontinuing it just because
it's not worth it. Yeah.
Great. Let me go on to the next question here. And I'm pretty sure you can do this, and we'll email this out to you. The question is this: can you provide a component or kit list for what you've been showcasing here?
Sure. That's
great. Why don't you just, and after the event, email that to me, and I'll include it in the email that I send out to members when we send this. And then we have one more question, and that is, what is the Kryolan minimum order?
Our opening minimum order for a retail establishment is $750, 3 per color of sellable inventory. We also offer a tester program. And if you're an NCA member, your opening order is lower. It's half of that. So I think it's, what is that, $325, 3 per color. And we also offer lower yearly incentives for NCA members. We always provide a tester program. Jordan and I have several library training seminars. I always like to front onboard my clients with a personalized education of what you've purchased. So once you do have your selection and you get your staff in place, we can do a Zoom training session. All of my customers know I'm always available for training and product support. And Jordan and I are happy to jump on a Zoom presentation for your store or maybe do a seminar with you. So yeah, lots of fun stuff once you're a dealer of ours.
Great. All right. That's really the end of our questions. Thank you so much, Ann and Jordan, for what
No,
you
thanks for the
demonstrated today and what you talked about. And attendees, let me remind you that this is being recorded, so I'll send you an email with the recording link later today or tomorrow. And you can ask Ann, and I'll include her email there. You can ask Ann for a sample kit, and I'll include Jordan's Instagram handle so that you can see some of his fantastic work. So thank you very much
Thank
for
you
your
for
yeah,
having
time.
thanks.
us.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
thanks for having us.
attendees.
Thanks everyone for joining, and hope you had fun.
Yeah. Have any questions? Just send us a line.
All
Here to
right.
help.
Thank you, everyone. That ends today's event.